Today I'm going to try to draw this fountain in Talon, and holy smokes, this will be my god. You have no idea. Okay, I can't divulge too much too early or you'll just leave. So let's talk for a few minutes about how I got here, what I was thinking, and some other stuff. I don't know. Let's go. So, as you can see, I'm getting started with this pillar in the center of the fountain. And that was probably a good move. I was worried about messing up the scale of everything right away, so I needed something that would ground everything else without having to start with the whole mass of the fountain itself. Had I started with that, I was concerned I'd make it too small, meaning the statue in the middle would end up being tiny. And if I'd started with the statue, I might have exaggerated its size, leaving insufficient room for everything else. Also, by starting with the pillar, I could give myself some false hope for at least a few seconds that this wasn't going to be a horrible nightmare drawing. I've gone in nice and delicately, paying attention to all the little surfaces, and then bam, I get right into the statue, starting with this foot on the left, which I must say is fine. Nothing's wrong with this foot. And frankly, nothing's really wrong with the other one either. The feet are not the issue. But again, let me slow my roll. Choosing this reference was pretty straightforward. And thanks to yesterday, today I welcomed pretty much anything. I was open to drawing whatever caught my eye first, and this happened to do just that. I've passed this spot 1,000 times by now, and it has crossed my mind to stop and draw it. But me being my typical over-selective, picky self, I don't love that there's no running water. Meaning, is it really a fountain? You tell me. And also, there are usually some, let's say, odd characters hanging around this part of the park. But today, I was feeling loose as a goose or something like that. So I stopped, set up the reference video, and did a little practice sketch. As you know, if you've seen practically any of my videos at this point, you've no doubt heard me talk about this process and how I like to do quite small thumbnail sketches just to get a sense of things. Well, that didn't help me very much today. The statue looked a little strange, I'll admit, but not enough for me to care, and I figured I'd refine it anyway in the real drawing. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. So while I was doing that practice sketch, it started to rain. You can see the rain in the video now, but not rain. It was barely sprinkling, and we had an umbrella anyway, so it was fine. It would probably be fine. It wasn't fine. The rain did stop near the end of filming the reference, but it started back up as we were setting up the drawing. And then it poured. So my wife and I stood there under our diminutive cheetah print umbrella, don't ask, for about 20 minutes before it mostly subsided. Why am I telling you this? I don't really remember, but maybe I can blame the rain on the abomination that is currently emerging from some evil dimension. And if you haven't caught on already, what I'm trying to do here is get your expectations so low that the final result looks okay in comparison. I hope it's working. So anyway, the rain stopped. It was fine. We got things set up, and as I sat down, I was going over some of the things I would like to achieve in this drawing. And ultimately, if all I was able to do was draw the statue and the pillar beneath it, spectacular. I didn't care that much about the fountain, honestly, but if I had time, I'd give it a shot. With that in mind, I was taking my time observing the subject, specifically the statue. I was noticing what parts were in shadow, what kinds of shapes the body was making, and I was trying to put myself back into my shoes from Jeju Island, where I'd drawn the only other statues I've ever tried to draw. If memory serves, I haven't tried anything similar since then. Also, since those drawings then weren't half bad, and I've had months of practice since, this should be a cakewalk, right? And oh my God, if you've been listening to anything I've said, you'll know how naive I was. Why did I think that? I haven't drawn anything remotely resembling the human form in months, yet I figured this would be simple. What a moron. And I'd forgive you if at this point in the drawing you're thinking, well, it's a little ugly, but not irreparable, because you're kind of right. What I have here currently is just a rough, loose sketch of this general shape I see before me. And it would be really cool, so very cool, if I could chip away at that to reveal something beautiful and refined. But that absolutely does not happen. I know you know this already, but I really can't stress enough how much deeper into the ugliness I sink. I hate this so much, which is sad for me because I think eventually this is the type of stuff I'd love to excel at. I want to be able to recreate, like ancient Greek sculptures and whatnot. I want to draw street scenes and portraits and honestly, a lot of the stuff I like to photograph. But actually, that doesn't hold that much weight because I feel the same way about landscapes and architecture and botanical stuff and practically everything else. But still, that doesn't take away from my deep desire to be good at this. And it's such a struggle to see such a disparate representation on the page versus what I see in my head. It's a pain in the neck. And yet I deserve it. I don't practice this stuff at all. If I really cared, you'd think I would spend a lot more time on it, but I don't. So maybe my priorities aren't what I think they are, and this practice is just revealing that. Interesting stuff, I know. Also, if you've noticed me waving around a bunch, it's just a mosquito. I'm not going crazy just yet. Okay, I'll talk more about the statue in the end. I'll give that a rest for now. So now I want to bounce off of what I just said about priorities and all that, because along with statues, I noticed it in something else while making this drawing, and that's trees. Trees have been a pretty significant priority for me since about the beginning, and I've spent a lot of time at home intentionally practicing them through various methods as well. However, and this is what I wanted to talk about, they haven't been top of mind for, I don't know, a week. And already it feels like they're slipping away. It's like I'm losing my memory of how to draw them. And I kind of feel that way about everything. Not that I'm losing everything, but that with only a few days away from something, I might lose it completely and have to start over. It feels like I have a tenuous grasp on all of the things I've learned so far, like perspective, scale, texture. That's all I can think of right now. And by loosening my grip ever so slightly, it'll all slip through my fingers. At some point in this drawing, you'll see that my trees are childlike and kind of thoughtless. And sure, I was pretty over it by the time I got to them, and they were frankly unnecessary altogether. But still, I would have thought I'd acquired more muscle memory than that. I would have thought that I had more time to let things rest, but it certainly doesn't feel that way. It feels like everything I know needs to be hammered constantly, which is obviously not feasible. And I know I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's a weird feeling. Luckily, my facades and towers aren't going anywhere because that's apparently all I draw anymore. Again, exaggeration, but you know what I mean. All that said, if I've learned anything from any of the other creative things I've done throughout my life, and if this happens to match up with any of that, certain skills lose their luster. And it usually only takes a day of polishing to bring back the shine. While it doesn't feel that way right now, especially with the statue, my God, if I do another one tomorrow, I'll probably be right back to where I was. But again, and I guess I'll just keep bouncing my way from one side of this point to the other, this is like the third statue I've drawn ever. So maybe actually I just need a lot more practice. As for the trees, I'll chalk this one up to rushing for now, but if things don't click back into place soon, maybe I'll just quit. Not really though, but maybe. No, not really. Well, as much ire as I've thrown at the statue, I should probably own up to what I think really makes this a bad drawing. I've spent this entire video practically spitting venom at one element, when in fact, the problem is everything. Like, imagine I'd drawn a really nice cathedral, and then somewhere up at the top, like a gargoyle, I included this statue. I don't think it would have thrown off all the other good parts. And if I'm honest, I'd probably be pretty pleased with myself, given the time constraint. But that's not. I didn't do that here. The contextual stuff that you're seeing materialize is not a really nice cathedral. It's anything but. The fountain was rushed, the trees, and wow, the plants in the foreground. I think they're hostas. They're lovely. That's why I included them. But I desecrate them. They're ruined. It's a tragedy. Again, probably down to rushing, born out of dissatisfaction and probably some laziness. But nonetheless, they're awful. I'm so sorry. And I think these things actually do more harm than the central component, the thing I've whined about this entire video. Man, this is really unappealing to me. I had such a better version of this in my head. So much more hope for myself. But yeah, the statue was mostly ruined by terrible shading. Clearly, I have a long way to go with regard to the human form, but with better shading, I don't think it would have been all that bad. Like I said, though, it's the other stuff that really brings this one down. I'm looking at this, and there's really only one thing I see that isn't half bad, and that's the pillar, where it all began. Ironic, poetic even. Copacetic, actually. No, not that. Wow. So what do you think? Was I hard on myself today, or am I justified to set this aflame? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one and to listen to me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.